Hey everybody, welcome to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, visionrecordingstudios.com, and here on my YouTube channel. And this week we're taking a look at the last final Universal Audio Guitar Amp Sim plugin. This is the Engl E765 RT, the RetroTube 100 simulation in combination with Universal Audio and BrainWorks. If you want to see the other videos of the other Universal Audio Guitar Amp Sim plugs that I did, go back and search the archive. We did all the Marshall collection and we also did the Friedman collection. This is the Engl. So what makes this different compared to the other ones, this is more of a high gain modern type of a sound as opposed to the Marshall, which is more of a classic type of a sound. And this is a great, wonderful plugin as well. Again, this is Engl is a boutique German amp company, makes fabulous amps, and this is an absolute stellar recreation of one. So let's just jump right into it and take a look at the lay of the land here. So over here on the left, this is a 2-channel amp. We have channel 1, we have a gain, a bass, middle, treble, and volume. Channel 2, we have a gain, bass, middle, treble, and volume. Over here next to this, we have a gain boost switch. I know it's difficult to see right underneath the BrainWorks logo here. It's kind of a boost of some extra gain. And then we have, this will choose between channel 1 and channel 2. The amber lit will be channel 2. If it is out, it is channel 1, which is the clean channel. So we have a clean channel and a distorted channel on channel 2. And then we have a master volume here. We have a standby switch that turns the plugin on and off, which is kind of neat. If you are to click on this effects rack button here, it opens up the additional things behind the curtain, so to speak, much like the Friedman and the Marshall collection. So over in the top left-hand corner, just like the Friedman collection, we have the same layout. We have a threshold, or a noise gate, excuse me, a noise gate here with a threshold and a range, so you can adjust the noise gate. You can turn it on and off by this toggle switch. Next to that, to its immediate right, we have a tight and a smooth, which is a low cut and high cut filters that you can either have in pre or post, or you can shut it off completely. We'll turn it on pre and we're going to roll off some of the low end here on this guitar. And then to the immediate right of the filters, we have a delay, a digital delay, which is really cool. And it can either sync to your host, in our case is 122 beats a minute, or you can tap it. You can turn it on and off by this toggle switch here. And then you can, I think this goes up to as much as 992 milliseconds here. And if you can times that times 2, or you can cut that by 2. So these little buttons here help you adjust the milliseconds of the delay. And then we have the delay controls, a mix feedback and a low 5, which gives you kind of a more of an analog sound. Underneath here, but going over left to right in the middle section here, we have the recording chains. Again, just like the Friedman collection, where there's a whole slew of, if you click in here, a whole slew of different cabinets and microphone combinations were used here in the creation of this plugin. So a really good, and we'll cycle through a few of these, but there are many of them, as you can see. Too many to cycle through in this video. But basically what you can do is you can go ahead and choose the different types of cabinets and microphone combinations you want to see what sound suits your needs. And underneath it here where you see it says 1 bar, if you want to cycle through these things automatically so you don't have to constantly drop down the drop down box and choose it with a mouse or a trackpad, you can click this auto button here. And this will flash. Right now we're in 1 bar mode. We can go up as much as 8 bar mode. And what that means is every bar you'll see that the preset is going to change. Okay, so it'll automatically cycle through the different recording chains, which is really handy when you have this many of them to go through. So you can imagine sitting down with your guitar plugged in and looking for your guitar tone, and you can go ahead and you can automatically cycle through all of these on your own without having to take your hand off the guitar. And you can set it to 1 bar, or you can have it change every 2 bars, or every 3, 4, or 8 bars. So it gives you a chance to audition your tone before it jumps to the next recording chain, if that makes sense. Okay. Over to the right of that, we have an input gain. We can bypass the preamp altogether. You can bypass the power section altogether. We have a power soak, which is really kind of a power attenuator emulation. Okay, and that's really about it. So this is laid out. If you were to go back and look at the Dirty Shirley Friedman amp and the BE100 amp by Friedman, you'll see that it's exactly laid out. The controls are exactly the same because BrainWorks did all of these plugins, which is really cool. And you can close the effects rack by clicking on this button here. If you want to just look at the front of the amp or you want to look at the effects rack, it's totally up to you. Over here at the top in Studio One, there's already a bunch of presets to kind of get you started. If you want to cycle through those, which we will do, a lot of times I'll find a preset that I kind of like, and then I'll just kind of tweak it from there. So let's just start on the default setting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the very first recording chain, and I'm just going to let it cycle through. I'm going to play back the same piece of music that was used in all of the Universal Audio Guitar Amp Sim videos, so you guys can kind of compare apples to apples. So I encourage you to go back and look at the Friedman and the Marshall videos, and we're using the same kind of rock track here, real simple, so you can kind of compare the difference between all these plugins. So without further ado, let's take a listen to the Engl Retro Tube 100. So here we go. So as you can hear there and see what I was doing, I was basically just cycling randomly, picking different recording chains just so you can hear the difference between them. The best thing to do if you demo this plugin is just go through all of them. But let's go back up to the top here. We'll start off with the default, the choice one, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to now cycle through some of the presets that they chose. And as we choose the presets here, the EQs are going to change and such. And then, well, before we do that, why don't we just put everything into high noon, as we say, and let's just start with channel 1, and I'll go through and show you what channel 1 sounds like, and then we'll go through and show you what channel 2 sounds like. Again, this is pretty straightforward. This is nothing revolutionary here, but this just gives you kind of an idea. So right now we're on channel 2. We're going to go to channel 1 here and start with that. And we'll go ahead, and we have a bright switch here too if we wanted to make channel 1 a little brighter. So let's give it a listen. So as you can hear there, as you dial back the gain and you turn on the bright switch, you can kind of get more of a cleaner sound. And you can also use this if you're actually plugging your guitar into this and recording through the Apollo interface, as opposed to using this just as an insert on a predetermined or pre-recorded track like we're doing here. You can also use the volume controls on your guitar to kind of clean up the sound depending on the pickup configuration, so on and so forth. So that's channel 1. So now let's switch over to channel 2 by clicking this button down here, and let's listen to that same piece of music again. And we'll go ahead and we'll here's a tone shaping knob too. I forgot to mention earlier on channel 2. Channel 1 has a bright switch. This has a thing called tone, so I'm assuming it just has some kind of a different tone voicing or tone shape. So let's listen to that and see what we have here, and we'll start with everything at kind of high noon. Kind of a mid-boost bump here. Okay, so by using the gain boost button here, we just get some more saturation is really all we're getting. And again, this is a real kind of a high gain, kind of a modern type of a sound, very Mesa Boogie-ish or reminiscent of a Mesa Boogie. That's the kind of vibe this is, and which is cool, you know, if that's what you dig. So that's kind of the channel 1 and channel 2. So now finally, let's go ahead and let's just cycle through a few of the presets. I'll start off with Strat Rocks. And as you can see, that's going to change all the EQ settings and all the channel settings. It's going to change everything for us on the fly here. And it's also going to change the recording chain. So let's take a listen, and we'll just flip through some presets here, and then we'll end this video. So as you can hear there, again, not a ton of presets with this particular plugin as opposed to the Friedman collection. There's a lot more presets, but this gives you a pretty good starting point. And as you can hear, there's a variety of different tones, and the presets are kind of self-explanatory. I mean, they have some Strat type presets, some Paula or some probably Les Paul or humbucker guitar style presets, and some Telly. So they're pretty self-explanatory. So again, just like with the Friedman collection, this particular plugin, you can have, if you're looking for a more modern sound, a more high gain sound, this plugin works really well and is a nice contrast to, say, the Marshall collection, which is more vintage sounding, or even the Friedman collection. And you look at the BE100 and you look at the Engl, they sound completely different, and that's the whole point. So it's nice to have all these different variety of guitar tones at your disposal. If you have a track that calls for high gain, you may pull out the Engl. If you have something that's more of a classic rock or a bluesy type of a thing, you wouldn't necessarily use this. You'd probably go take a look at one of the Marshall plugins, or maybe the Dirty Shirley by Friedman, or even the BE100 for that matter. But the point of the story is that this gives you a ton of tonal options, a ton of great recording chains, a ton of great presets, really good digital delay, a nice gate. And again, we've only scratched the surface of what this can do. So I urge you, if you own Universal Audio, I urge you to go out and demo this for 14 days on their website. Try it out, play around with it on your projects. And again, keep in mind, if you don't have any Universal Audio hardware yet and you're kind of looking at Universal Audio, remember that this plugin is also part of the Unison technology, much like some of their channel strips and preamps and such, where you can record through the plugin into your favorite DAW using their console software, which we'll show you in another video. But you can either record and print the guitar tone directly to the DAW, or you can just monitor the amp sound as you're recording it, and you can just print the dry track to your DAW, and then you can go back later with the different types of guitar amp sim plugins, and you can choose the kind of tone that you want for that particular track, which is what we done here. This was a dry track with the plugin put on after the fact. So again, what's great about Universal Audio is you can do both, one or the other. So it's awesome. And I really urge you to go out and check out the Universal Audio systems if you haven't. They make wonderful plugins. They have real high quality interfaces in the Apollos, and there's all different price points from starting off very, very affordably all the way up through very, very expensive and everything in between. So hopefully you enjoyed this quick little video of the Engl guitar amp sim, the RetroTube 100. My name is David, and I'm with HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com. And if you want more in-depth training, tips, tricks, concepts, techniques around everything home recording, head out to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com and check out all the products that are there, all the free content that's there. If you're into recording and home recording and mixing and mastering, Home Recording Made Easy is your one-stop shop, and I urge you to go check that out. And if you want some more information on my mixing and mastering services, you can always head over to visionrecordingstudios.com. So until next time, with another look at another plugin by Universal Audio or some more mixing and mastering tutorials, this has been Dave from HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, and I will see you guys all soon. Take care.